Oswego County Legislature regular meeting. Calling the meeting to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Michael Yurden.
Present.
Herbert Yurden.
Present.
Edward Gilson.
Here.
David Poles.
Here.
Roy Reedhill.
Here.
John Martino's been marked excused. Frank Bombardo.
Here.
Paul House.
Here.
James Weatherup.
Here.
Mary Ellen Chesbro.
Present.
Linda Lockwood. Here. Richard Klein.
Present.
Patrick Twist.
Here.
Stephen Walpole.
Here.
Nathan Emmons.
Here.
James Scanlon.
Here.
Laura Mangano.
Here.
Robert Wilmot's been marked excused. Marie Schad.
Here.
Tim Stahl.
Here.
Noel Samuelson's been marked excused. James Karasik.
Here.
Michael Soloway.
Here.
Mark Greco.
Here.
Frank Castilla.
As always, I'm here.
Mr. Chairman, that's 22 present, 3 excused. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Would you please lead us in the invocation?
Let us be thankful for the opportunity to come together here today to serve in the role of government. Help us to be ever mindful of opportunities to render our services to fellow citizens and to our community, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts into those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Grant us clarity of purpose and protect us from all distractions. Amen.
Thank you. And now the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I trust we've had a moment to review the minutes of the Oswego County Legislature regular meeting on February 9th, 2023, and the special meeting on February 24th, 2023.
So moved.
So moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Legislator House, do we have any introduction of visitors? Wouldn't necessarily be on the list?
No. No.
No, thank you. Moving now to public speakers of the day. There are none?
We taped it down, Mr. Chairman. We thought somebody might try to steal it.
I had a knife, but I didn't want to pull it out.
All right, thank you. Would Eric Kern come forward? And again, sir, you probably know the drill. You have 5 minutes on pertaining to a resolution of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm here today to reiterate what I spoke about at the December 2022 legislative meeting. At that meeting, I and others who work at the Department of Social Services expressed our concern about pay inequities, staffing shortage, and overwhelming workloads. Since that meeting, it is my understanding that there have been discussions between the legislature and the union regarding the concerns from staff, but without knowing the details of those discussions, I feel it is necessary to express my thoughts in this forum to keep the concerns fresh in people's minds. There are still staff that work for this county at DSS that are paid at a rate that make them income eligible for the very programs we administer. We have not been informed if the county is considering bonuses for all county employees from the federal government Relief Act funds, yet we hear through the media how wonderful it is that other organizations and businesses in the county have benefited from those funds. The staff in the Assistance Program Division at DSS work for the neediest and in some instances the most difficult to serve populations. I imagine that the people in this room may have friends or family members that have received assistance through DSS in the form of HEAP and SNAP at the very least. We continue to see our staff leave for positions that pay more and have less stress, and everyone that leaves creates a vacancy that must be filled by someone who needs to be trained in how to correctly determine eligibility for assistance. Now, this can take anywhere from 1 to 3 years. And during that training period, some people leave for better jobs. Some don't make it through the training. It can often sometimes feel like a revolving door that our training seniors have to deal with. People come into the agency with many issues that make it difficult to help them, whether it is addiction issues, mental health issues, emotional, the list goes on. The social welfare examiners that try to help people are the frontline workers who are often verbally abused over the phone and in person. They are the very definition of overworked and underpaid. I have been told a wage comparison audit is in the works, but it may not occur till later this year, with the results not expected till next year. How much longer are you willing to let your employees give their all to a job that needs to be done, yet you do not publicly express an ounce of concern or empathy? I have seen that some legislators take a tour of the agency, and I want to express my appreciation to those that took time out of your schedule to do so. However, spending one day on our team can never truly demonstrate the daily crisis work that our staff are required to do as part of state and federally mandated programs. I respectfully ask each of you to come to the office in Mexico. Allow me to show you what we are dealing with on a daily basis at a rate of pay that is not much more than some stores and fast food restaurants are willing to pay. I promise you, I will open your eyes. I heard someone ask what resolution this refers to. Why have other counties found it so easy to take some of the ARPA funds to give to their county employees, yet this body cannot? Do we know how much is left of the ARPA funds? What do we have to do to request some of that? Do we have to get together and make a proposal? Would you, as our employers, be willing to make a proposal to use some of those funds to provide us with some relief? We have staff that are working more than this job, or working this job additional hours and overtime. It is exhausting and emotionally overwhelming. And from the looks on the faces here, it just seems like nobody really cares. Have we as an agency done something so heinous that makes you hate us? That makes you, that you want us to suffer? I don't get it. That the people that work for you don't make enough to pay for childcare or put food on their tables. What is right about that? What is logical about that?
Thank you. Would Jessica Steele come forward?
Mr. Chairman, I'd ask her to request what resolution she's speaking to.
The resolution on disbursement of ARPA funds.
Thank you. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Steele, and I'm a social welfare examiner for the Oswego County Department of Social Services. Before I get to the reason I'm here today, I want to remind those of you running for election or re-election that you're elected by the people for the people. Please, when making your decisions, keep in mind the best interest of your constituents and remember your oath of office. Oswego County voters, please remember to get out there for the primaries and the general election this year. If you're not registered, it's not too late. If you don't care to vote for anyone that's running, remember you can always cast a blank ballot. Do not show up because you don't care for any of the candidates. Blank ballots show the candidates running that you voted, but they did not earn your vote. At this time, I would like to take a few moments and thank the few members of the legislature that have come to visit the agency in the last few months. Your willingness to visit does not go unnoticed, and I hope your colleagues will soon follow suit. I also hope that when I'm speaking today, you have the courtesy to listen and give me your undivided attention to the serious matter, as their pleas have fallen on deaf ears for far too long. I would think that this governing body does not enjoy the negative media attention that it has received as of late and continues to receive. I'm here to tell you it's just going to get worse. And thus the reason I'm here today. You have reports and data from years indicating we as an agency are not fairly compensated or adequately staffed. I cannot understand how it is not blatantly obvious that wage increases would strongly assist in remedying this situation. You're willing to vote to give yourself all raises, but not us. As an elected official myself, I would not be able to do that and maintain a clear conscience. If I were sitting where you are, I'd be embarrassed that I had allowed this miscarriage of fair wages for all. That leaves me with a question. How do you determine who does get raises? I do know there are contracts, but that does not seem to matter, as you chose to give raises to a select few. There should be a fair evaluating process that is utilized for how and when county workers get raises. If there's such a policy in place, please email me that information. I have emailed you all, so you do all have my contact information. I would really like to know how you decide who is worthy and who is not. Now, before this, I know that you were saying that, referring to the raise that you guys gave caseworkers as a title increase. And for the sake of this speech, I mean, that's just semantics, tomato, tomato. They're doing the same work as caseworkers, you just raise their title. I'll do the same work if you give me a raise and change my title. Not a problem. And recently, you've congratulated yourselves on that. While they certainly deserve that increase, so do the rest of us. There are 540 people in our bargaining unit alone that provide vital services to the community, and you chose to give 60 of those 540 people a raise. If you think giving a raise to 11% of the people that directly serve our vulnerable population is the solution to the problem, you're wrong. All you've done is put a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. We continue to hemorrhage, and we will keep exsanguinating until you make the hard choice that you've been avoiding and pay us more. Thank you for your time and your attention, and I look forward to seeing you all next month.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers on resolutions of the day? Okay, moving to reports of county officials. Reports of standing committees.
Mr. Warren, I'd like to speak on reports of standing committees, as well as on special committees. We attended the CPAC, Child Protective Advisory Committee meeting last Thursday, and I'm hoping that the press will take note of this, that we're in dire need of new foster families in the county, and they've started a recruitment program, and they have posters for it, so I'll deliver a poster to you for that. But become a champion in our community and a hero for our local children. So we're in process of trying to recruit more foster families in the county. There is a job fair coming up at DSS also that I hope that the press can promote. That is on the 18th, Saturday the 18th at DSS. And yesterday I attended the Workforce Development Board One-Stop Partners Roundtable. Today we're going to finalize the funding of an ARPA project to increase child care opportunities in the county. And I just wanted to mention that there are 7 out of 12 seats in this child care boot camp that's going to be occurring soon. So if anybody in the room knows anybody that's interested in trying to start a child care business, this boot camp will be funded through the ARPA project. It will prepare individuals with all the training that they need, and even some potentially work in their homes or the place of the business to start a child care business in the county, which is in dire need. Thanks. Thank you.
I have flyers regarding each of those things.
Okay, thank you. If you could put the flyers on the table if anybody wants them. So we've got flyers both for the
At the child care business program, our recruitment fair, as well as our foster care recruitment.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to bring attention to those, and if there's a chance to talk afterwards, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under reports of county officials, one of the resolutions you're voting on today, ET7, is a statement of support for the National Marine Sanctuary Project, which is out for public comment for the final time. So I've been asked to give a report on the status of that project. The public hearings have been completed. One was in Oswego, one was in Jefferson County, one in Molca, and last night was a virtual. Over the majority of all the comments were positive. There were some questions and a couple of naysayers, but overall, a very supportive bank of commentary came in from the community, and the meetings were fairly well attended to. Going forward, the schedule is Noah will take the comments made on the Marine Sanctuary at these meetings, consider any changes they need to make or answers to any of the questions they need to provide, and finalize the federal rule creating the sanctuary. That won't take time. What will take time is once they've done that, it's got to go through several other clearances in the federal government, even up to the White House's budget office. So they're thinking that an announcement for designation is probably early spring, maybe February or March of next year. So we may want to think about what we want to do if this is successful in our 24 budget. The project has seen some early successes already. People wonder what does this bring to the area. I'm happy to let you know that some people involved in the education field on the Sanctuary Advisory Council have begun working on a program to bring remote operated vehicle construction programs into school districts and have competitions and expose our young people to careers in marine technology that they otherwise would have been exposed to. That's something that has happened in other sanctuaries and is happening here already even before designation. Also, SUNY Oswego has announced that they are seeking funding to create a Great Lakes Institute here in Oswego at the campus that will focus on experiential learning, research, and development that's focused on the environment and economy of New York's Great Lakes, including fisheries management, marine sanctuary development, resilience in lake levels, the use of fresh water, and the education of teachers in the grades to use NOAA's classroom materials that they create, and weather studies. So that's positive development that, should they receive the funding, will bring researchers and some economic development derivatives from an institute being created here. So we're pleased to see that this is already beginning to pay off even prior to designation. Lastly, a lot of this has been done during the pandemic. A lot of it has been virtual, but with that lifted, NOAA has asked me to convey to all of you that they are more than willing and ready to speak to groups in the community in person or virtually, town boards, chambers, any community groups to talk about the project and what its impact will be and purpose. So if you have any groups that you are a member of, whether it's a sailing club or a town, if it's a town board or a historians group, anything that you would want a presentation at, let me know, and I can get that requested to NOAA staff so they can arrange it. That's about the report. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any reports of special committees? Legislator Kraft.
I want to take a moment and give the kudos to our emergency management department. They put together the workshop and seminar on, unfortunately, mass casualty event. It was an eye-opening event that I really didn't particularly care how you identify body parts, but it was enlightening in the whole picture of taking care of first responders, taking care of the incident, taking care of families, and it's, it's one of those things that, we do. We'll be doing a practice tabling, and we hope we never have to pull that mechanism to go into effect. But the emergency management did a phenomenal job of bringing together the players. There was law enforcement, there was health department was there. the fire department was there, EMTs, and the feedback was very positive to come out of that. It's again, it's one of those things you don't want to talk about, but you want to know that if you reach for the book on the shelf and you pull it out, it's going to be correct, and it's going to be what we need to do. So I just wanted to thank them for all that work and putting that together.
Thank you. Moving now to resolutions, government courts and consumer affairs. Our first resolution will be GC1. This is a resolution allocating funds made available to the County of Oswego through the American Rescue Plan Act to certain sub-recipients and beneficiaries. That's the heading that the clerk normally reads. The backstory, these three projects are the latest allocation of the county's American Rescue Plan Act funding and will provide key funding for important initiatives within the county. Among them are funding for a sewer project in the town of Oswego that will serve over 200 homes, and a portion of Fred Haynes Boulevard and County Route 89 that acts as a business hub in the town. Funding also is set aside for the Children's Museum of Oswego, which lost substantial revenue during the coronavirus pandemic. So, Legislator Holtz with Resolution GC1.
Yes, I'd like to offer that resolution, urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution allocating funds made available to the County of Oswego through the American Rescue Plan Act to certain sub-recipients and beneficiaries.
Yes, all these places, the sewer county legislature find disbursements identified in Schedule F to be consistent with the intent of the ARPA and eligible under the guidance issued under the U.S. Treasury.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just always will reject lump voting on this. I support the Oswego Town sewer project, and I don't support the others. But I will be voting yes because it's my only option.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Legislator Castillo.
Mr. Chairman, fellow legislators, as always, lumping of these together we don't feel is the proper way to offer these funds out. We would always like to have these put through the specific committee, like the first one would go through public safety, the third one would go through EDP, the second one would go through infrastructure. And I know that they've gone through them in the past, but we would like them presented on the floor that way so that we could vote on them separately. Given that in the past you have always lumped these and you keep clumping them, but at this point in time I would like to make a motion to remove number 1 and number 3 from this allocation. I make a motion to move those, remove those two, number 1 and number 3.
Do we have a second? Seconded by Legislator Schott. Any discussion? Legislator Gilson.
Yeah, for the record, I'd just like to note that they're asking to remove the support for the Cleveland Fire Department, a sum of $16,298. It had been requested for $26,298, but after going through the Public Safety Committee and the task force, the amount was reduced to support the equipment that they're talking about. The other one I'm surprised they're not supporting is the Children's Museum. They had, and they showed, being part of the task force, I witnessed the evidence that they showed of the funds, the revenue that they lost. They've asked for $154,393. I would hope this resolution would be defeated and that this legislature would support these projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Legislator Evans.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off of Legislator Gilson's comments. The two that are being objected to are arguably probably the two that are most symbolic of why the ARPA funds were put in place to begin with. One is directly related to COVID with the Cleveland Fire Department and their locker room. And the second one, the Children's Museum of Oswego, again, directly related to loss of revenue with COVID-19. So, as we have debated about the merits of certain projects over the course of the ARPA funding, these two just seem to be, in essence, classic examples of why we would want to allocate ARPA funding to these particular projects. And certainly I realize that they're not objecting to the Oswego Town Sewer, but for the public's information, that's a $6.2 million project in which the town is leveraging $150,000 of their own ARPA funding, in addition to the asking of $250,000 from the county. So a very worthwhile project as well. So I don't know if the two legislators would like to elaborate on their objections. They certainly don't have to, but I just thought I would point that out for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Legislator Castillo.
He asked it the last time, he's asking it this time. Every town, city, village, county received ARPA funds. The one that I see on here that we're not objecting to is using some of their ARPA funds to fund their project. The city of Oswego received $1.9 million in ARPA funds. And I don't see where they're putting any of it towards their museum, okay? And also, Cleveland received ARPA funds. I don't know how much theirs was, but I don't see where they're using any of theirs. So that's why I'm objecting to them, okay? Because there are ARPA funds out there still available in the city of Oswego, and I'm sure there's still some available out there in Cleveland, in the tune of $16,000. But the only one that's using some of their ARPA funds is the town of Oswego for their sewer, and we're very much in favor of that one. But that's why I'm asking for those two to be removed. Not that I don't like that they're doing them, but I'm saying that they should, some of their ARPA funds, we should be using our ARPA funds for other items other than those two.
Any other discussion?
Thank you very much.
Legislator Greco.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Children's Museum is enjoyed by members outside the city as well. The entire county's children enjoy this museum as well as the adjoining counties. So to put the burden on the city alone to support a nonprofit museum that requires funding, they had to follow each kid around during the pandemic and clean each toy that the kid touched so that the next child that can come through can enjoy the same activity and be safe from the COVID virus. Thank you.
Thank you. Legislator Emmons.
Just an additional note related to the Children's Museum of Oswego. The museum actually has benefited from a variety of programs the city of Oswego has offered through their ARPA funding. And so the late claim that the city has not assisted the Children's Museum of Oswego in general, I think is a false statement. And with Cleveland Fire, I mean, I would have to assume that the amount of ARPA funding that they received was a very, very small amount. And what they're asking for here, even on their initial ask of $26,298, and the committee, and then through the task force, and then approved through two committee processes. I do also want to make note that these requests go through two committee processes. They go through their standing committee, their normal sort of committee, but then they actually get back to government courts. They meet prior to the legislative meeting to affirm or deny those requests. So there is multiple layers that these go through, but there's $16,298. I mean, it's a fairly small amount of money out of $22 million. So I guess I just wanted to make those points. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All those in favor of the amendment? Just the one?
Yes.
All opposed? Raise your hand.
Mr. Chairman, that's 1 in favor, 23 opposed and 3 excused, or 21 opposed, and 3 excused to amend the ARPA list.
Thank you. I apologize. I changed the format. All right. Back to the original resolution then, of GC1. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 21 in favor, 1 opposed, and 3 excused.
Thank you. Legislator Holst.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to move GC2,
GC4 and GC5 as a block, but GC3, we have to make a small amendment there.
All right, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 22 in favor, 0 opposed, and 3 excused to move GC2 through GC5 as a block.
All right, with the exception of 3, is that the one?
Yes, as far as 3 goes, it's,
You think Legislator Rehill had?
yeah, that's the end of it.
Shall we move the resolution first, announce the resolution?
Oh, sure, yeah. Resolution GC3 then by Legislator Holt.
Excuse me a minute.
Mr. Chairman, I'll offer the resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution approving and confirming the sale and transfer of certain foreclosed tax property pursuant to RPTL 1166.
So there's a problem with, you're not supposed to have a sewer family in it, just a village approval.
Right. I believe they're in effect an edit, but we want to make sure it's corrected. Legislator Rehill.
Yes, on the chart that accompanies the resolution, in the first line, the deed to owner says the town of Constantia. We'd like to amend that to the village of Cleveland.
Thank you. Second. We have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 22 in favor, 0 opposed, and 3 excused.
All right, thank you. So then the amendment, or the resolution is as amended to correct. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 22 in favor, 0 opposed, and 3 excused.
Thank you. Moving to Public Safety Committee, Legislator Greco.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to move PS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 as a block by consent.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 22 in favor, 0 opposed, and 3 excused to move PS 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 as well. All 6.
All 6 is a block.
As a block.
Thank you. Moving to Human Services Committee. Legislator Rehill.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to move resolutions 1 through 6 as a block by consent.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second?
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 22 in favor, 0 opposed, and 3 excused to move 1 through 6 as a block.
Thank you. Thank you. Resolution HS7 by Legislator Rehill.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budget modification, ARPA, to address the need for additional registered child care providers in Oswego County.
I mentioned before that this is through the One Stop, so if anybody's interested, we've got 5 more spaces to fill for the child care boot camp to train, to provide the funding and assistance in starting child care enterprises in the county.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
Mr. Chair, or Legislator Rehill, I would just like to, wondering, not being a member of the HS, the Human Services Committee, and not, seeing anything on, after the 151 and the 3 years gone, how will we be planning on funding this program if we're going to go past the 3 years?
There is no plan right now to go past the 3 years. We'd have to seek additional funding. This is for 3 years to train 12 different individuals. And it's an integrated training program through the Small Business Development Center, Jefferson County Community College, and the Oswego County Workforce New York. So we're doing what we can to try to get some up and running. If it's really successful, which we hope it will be, I think we would seek some other funding.
Any other discussion? Legislator Gilson.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to reiterate that these funds are coming from the internal ARPA allocations.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 21 in favor, 1 opposed, and 3 excused.
Thank you. Resolution HS8 by Legislator Rehale.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution appointing members to the Veteran Services Advisory Committee.
So during COVID, most of our advisory committees had a difficult time because we didn't meet and we lost many members. We are now thankfully going to be fully staffed. Michael Yeardley, Eric Boozer, Brad Trudell, Lorraine Murray, Gary Visconti, Nathan Beasley, Peter Allen, and Frank Manchester.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I just have a question on the, it's going through the Office of the Aging Council, because it says the Advisory Council on the back of it, for information memorandum, is going through the Office of the Aging Advisory Council. Says they're being appointed as Office of the Aging.
There is no informational menu, or there is no informational memo with this resolution. This resolution is an individual. On the back side, that is just an informational memo about the Office of the Aging Advisory Council, which I believe we did at committee, and this actually probably did not need to be in the packet because it's not going to be a resolution that we have to affirm here. That's my understanding.
That explains the confusion, because it's confusing, why are we putting people in information memorandum on the back? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Legislator Kraft.
So I have a question. All of these positions expire the same date. Is that correct?
I believe they do.
So is that the entire council?
Well, the nice thing about these councils is they can hold over as until the positions until they either resign or we reappoint. So it doesn't end up nullifying the advisory committee at the end of the term.
Yeah,
It is the entire council.
what's that?
It is the entire.
Yeah, my concern is not nullifying the committee. My concern is we've got no carryover continuity of people. Normally, committees are staggered so that there are people that are constantly, and you got a new start date after December 31st, 24 for everybody. Is that the intention?
Well, because that's what we're doing, we're appointing them now, so,
Okay.
yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's what we're doing, we're appointing them now, so that they've got their term.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 22 in favor, 0 opposed, and 3 excused.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Moving now to economic development and planning. Legislator Stahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to first make a motion to move EP 1, 3, and 7 as a block by consent.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 22 in favor, 0 opposed, and 3 excused to move EDP 1, 3, and 7 in the block.
Thank you. Resolution EP2 by Legislator Stahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring this resolution forward and I urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Community Development, Office of Planning and Community Development.
So our Office of Community Development is the office that interacts for our transportation needs. And we have in the past contracted with a vendor to provide mobility management services. And that office has supported the vendor, but the vendor has been the one who's provided the majority of the work. That vendor, we put that out to RFP. We had one respondent for the vendor, and ultimately the vendor declined to do the work. And so we are, an additional amount of work is falling upon that office. The director has come up with a way to kind of offset that within their budget without any additional cost, and using some funds that have been left over from an old grant. So this is a temporary plan. Ultimately, the longer-term plan includes obviously staffing that mobility management in a way where it will not draw down on the time that we need to accomplish everything else in that normal workday. So this is a temporary plan. It's about $1,000 total, or it's exactly $1,000 total, and hopefully that explains it.
Thank you. Any discussion? Legislator Castillo.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Stahl, Legislator Stahl, the reason I'm asking the question on this was voted in originally through mobility management back in 2019 or 2018, I think it was, and it was doing an excellent job. And now all of a sudden they decided not to pick up with Oswego County. Now this is detrimental to the whole county, I understand, but for the city of Fulton, it's really hurts us with mobility management pulling out. Is there any reasoning that anybody knows why they pulled out all of a sudden? Because I had talked to them and we had voted in favor of putting it out to them.
If I could, that's a fair question. Ultimately, we did solicit a number of other vendors. Anybody else who provides services did decline to respond to our RFP. They were the only respondents, and ultimately, they decided they didn't want to do the work with us anymore. So the need is obviously still there. What I do want to remind everyone is that the mobility manager is kind of the flight controller here. The buses are still moving, obviously, but we will potentially have an issue if we don't figure this out. That's a fair question.
Well, Legislator Regal.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to thank you for appointing me to be chairman of the Transportation Advisory Committee, and I can announce that our first meeting will be next Thursday, the 23rd, not next Thursday, 2 Thursdays away, the 23rd of March. Tentatively, right now it's at 1 o'clock, although I'm trying to move that up so Legislator Scanlon can stay a little bit longer.
And that would be here then?
That will be in this building, that's correct.
Yes, thank you. I encourage you all to attend if you're interested. Legislator Castillo.
I understand about the mobility management, the buses are still moving, but part of that was wasn't it the voluntary transportation? Okay. And they're the ones that get the volunteers to go out and do whatever operation Oswego County, OCO doesn't cover, okay? So that is what's going to hurt the most. Now again, I asked, why did they back out after doing it for 3 years? And now all of a sudden, they don't. Does anybody know, or is it a classified information that we'll find in somebody's basement someday?
I don't know if anybody has further information to share on their reasoning. As a vendor, you can't force anyone to work with us. And I will tell you that they do serve the Tri-County area up north, specifically that St. Lawrence, Jefferson, and Lewis County areas. And to move down here was a bit of a stretch to begin with for them. Their headquarters is all the way up there. Ultimately, my understanding is they didn't see the value in continuing that relationship all the way down here.
The discussion of a person or a corporation is performance is an item for executive session. But if you have additional questions, we should come talk to you afterwards. Any other discussion? Legislator Regal.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I suggest Legislator Castillo just speak to them directly. We can't answer for them.
Correct. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 22 in favor, 0 opposed, and 3 excused.
Thank you. Resolution EP4 by Legislator Stahl.
Mr. Chairman, I bring this resolution forward and I urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the County of Oswego to utilize program delivery and administration funds received from the implementation of the CDBG project number 864 CVHR 34-21 and CDBG Farm Worker Housing Project number 864 CBHR 102-2022 to be used to support the CDBG program income housing P-loan fund. That was a lot.
I was gonna say, so when we do a CDBG grant, there's administrative funds that are set aside for us as a county. It's money that we can utilize for paying for our staff time or additional administrative costs. Oftentimes, we can also utilize those funds along with some other program income that is returned. What we do here locally is we put it in a program called the Income Housing Fund, or P-loan they call it. This is going to move $60,000 and some change, $64.45, into that program. Now, I'll take this opportunity to share about this program. It's an excellent program that we have here in this county. If you know folks who have a home that is, and again, they have to be qualified income-wise, but if they have some issues, roofing issues, furnace issues, things along those lines, this is the type of program that we offer where you could utilize those funds. Now, it's not a lot of money, and obviously there's an application process. I would encourage you to reach out to Donna Scanlon in our Community Development Office if you have anybody in your community or you know of anybody who could utilize those funds. But that's what this money is being moved over for.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 22 in favor, 0 opposed, and 3 excused.
Thank you. Resolution EP5 by legislator Stahl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring this resolution forward and I urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution awarding professional services contract RFP 22-CDTP-001 tourism website.
All right, a couple of years ago, we put out an RFP for a new website for the county. This is not that. We're not going to do that over again. This is for our tourism website, which has not been updated, I don't want to say a decade, but it's probably pretty close to that. So it's been a while since it's been updated. We put out an RFP, our Community Development Office did, at tourism. We did solicit local businesses. I want to make sure we highlight that. There were 2 or 3 of our county businesses that were actively solicited, ultimately declined to put in a proposal. So with that in mind, the review team reviewed the 13 proposals that came in, and they interviewed the top 3. They were able to get a bunch of samples of the work that was done, and ultimately are looking to award it to Zimmerman Agency out of Florida. Not the most expensive, not the cheapest, but the product I think really speaks for itself, and that is the recommendation of that committee and our committee. Total amount would be $50,000 for the development and a $1,300 a month under a hosting maintenance contract.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 21 in favor, 1 opposed, and 3 excused.
Thank you. Resolution EP6 by legislator Stahl.
Mr. Chairman, I bring this forward and I urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution appointing members to the Oswego County Soil and Water Conservation District Board of Directors.
Pretty self-explanatory. I want to thank legislators Lockwood and Chesbro for being willing to serve, and Mr. Jeffrey Richards again, who is the chair.
Thank you. Pretty straightforward. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 20 in favor, 0 opposed, 3 excused, and 2 abstained.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving now to the Health Committee, legislator Karasik.
Mr. Chairman, fellow legislators, I would like to propose moving HE1 through HE4 as a block by consent.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 22 in favor, 0 opposed, and 3 excused.
Thank you. Moving now to Infrastructure and Facilities, legislator Walpole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to propose moving IT1 through IT5 as a block. However, before we vote on that, I'd like to refer to our county highway superintendent for a brief rundown on IT3, which is the equipment being purchased. Usually we do put the list in there, and somehow we didn't. I had a few questions. If you could just give us a brief rundown.
Thank you.
Yes,
Mr.
thank
Walker.
you. We're supposed to be getting some equipment. I put out the bid if I'm able to. 2 10-wheeler dump trucks, 2 water trucks for paving, 2 plow with plow equipment, 1 mini excavator, 1 skid steer, and 2 sheep's foot rollers for the compacting dirt. That's what it's for. So, and this is under the CHIPS program. We're trying to get it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll second.
So second is to move all 5 of the block. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 22 in favor, 0 opposed, and 3 excused.
Thank you. Moving now to finance and personnel, Legislator Mangano.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing capital project closures and transfer of project balances.
Fellow legislators, this is a resolution that covers a list of capital projects which are complete and have balances totaling out to $389,896.48. These funds will be moved over to the unappropriated fund balance.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 22 in favor, 0 opposed, and 3 excused.
Thank you. Moving now to unfinished business. Legislator Castillo. No one standing for this one, huh?
Yeah, sometimes you don't hear me, or you may listen, but you don't hear.
We hear you. We hear you.
Mr. Chairman, at the last, before the last legislative meeting, I had a meeting with yourself, Majority Leader, and also with the County Attorney. I just recently had a meeting with the Vice Chair. In that meeting, we discussed what rules we follow in the legislature. And we had a little discussion, and we agreed that the rules of the legislature are written, and that's what we shall follow. In that meeting, I pointed out a rule of motions that can be made on the floor. Those motions cannot ask for any decisions or voting on a specific item on the floor, but you can make a motion to move things to committees or subcommittees. And that is in the rules that Legislator Rehill gave to me, and I thank him very much because I like to follow the rules. So with that being said, I would like again to make a motion to move to Governments and Courts and Consumer Affairs Committee or their subcommittee to redraw the district lines and reduce the number of legislators to 19. And I ask for a second. And then I'll ask for a roll call vote on that, please.
Thank you.
I believe it's out of order.
We'll allow it. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Michael Yurden.
No.
Herbert Yurden.
No.
Edward Gilson.
No.
David Holmes.
No.
Roy Rehill.
Abstain. It's out of order.
John Martino's been marked excused. Frank Bombardo.
No.
Paul House.
No.
James Weatherup.
No.
Mary Ellen Chesbro.
No.
Linda Lockwood.
No.
Richard Klein.
No.
Patrick Twist.
No.
Stephen Walpole.
No.
Nathan Emmons.
No.
James Scanlon.
No.
Lori Mangano.
No.
Robert Wilmot has been marked excused. Marie Shad.
Yes.
Tim Stahl.
No.
Noel Samuelson's been marked excused. James Carassa.
No.
Michael Soloway.
No.
Mark Greco.
No.
Frank Castelia.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, that's 21 opposed, 21 opposed, 2 excused, 3 excused, 2 in favor, and 1 abstained. I've got that.
Thank you. Any miscellaneous business? Legislator House.
Before we get out of control here, we've got some waive the rules resolutions. GC 6, GC 7, GC 8, PS 7, and HS 9.
Okay.
Did after executive session or before?
Well, we're gonna do executive session first.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Didn't want to get away with it.
Understood.
Miscellaneous business.
Legislator Stevens.
Mr. Chairman, follow suit with what I had spoken to before, but right now, this is something that affects all of us in that this past year, we voted in favor of money for the P-TECH program. And I believe in the P-TECH program. I think it's an excellent program. But what the P-TECH program does not cover is the fact that when these students get ready to go to OCC, if they have not had their vaccination, they're not allowed to go. So therefore, they're not allowed to be in the program anymore. So at this point in time, I would like to make a motion to ask the Governments and Courts Committee to ask the governor to pull that mandate from the SUNY schools so that the P-TECH program could go on without any disruption to these students. I make that motion now, and I ask for a second.
A motion made and seconded.
Mr. Chairman, these are out of order. You can't legislate from the floor of the legislature. It has to go through committees. These are inappropriate.
I
What are
agree.
the rules?
I agree.
What are the
Need a
rules?
motion to go into executive session?
No, I appeal the order of the court. I appeal the order of the chairman.
This is not a court, sir.
No,
We have
I
a motion to
appeal
go into
the
executive
decision of the
session. Is there a
chair.
second?
I can appeal the decision
You're now
of
in
the chair.
executive. All in favor of going into executive session?
Alright, so you're not gonna follow the rules, you're just gonna go by our, Boy House rules.
For the executive session is pending litigation regarding the child victims case and Manzi versus County of Oswego. Minutes should reflect that.
Thank you.
Yeah, they handle these.
Need a motion to come back into a session?
Move.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ladies and gentlemen, we're back in session. At this point, Legislator Howe.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to waive the rules for GC 6, GC 7, GC 8, HS 9, PS 7. That's it.
Those resolutions only.
Those resolutions only.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, Legislator Stahl has left the chambers, so that makes 21 in favor, 0 opposed, and 4 excused.
Thank you to waive the rules. Moving now to GC 6 by Legislator Holt.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer this resolution, urgent adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing and approving a settlement agreement in connection with the matter of County of Oswego versus Purdue Pharma et al., CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart.
This is a resolution that Rich can probably better explain than I could.
This is the latest in the opioid litigation that the county commenced against various pharmaceutical companies. The county has been represented by Simmons Hanley Conroy. They recommend the county accept this settlement as well as I do. The settlement, you have a spreadsheet, is only as the pharmacy distributors, Walmart, CVS, and Walgreens. The county has previously settled with Teva, and I believe Allergan as well. I'd have to check. There have been so many of these.
So thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, it's 21 in favor, 0 opposed, and 4 excused.
Thank you. Resolution GC 7 by Legislator Holt.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution, urgent adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Authorizing the execution of an agreement with Walker Capital LLC regarding valuation and consulting services in connection with tax negotiations concerning the James A. Fitzpatrick Nuclear Power Plant.
Rich can also explain this one.
You approved an intermunicipal agreement between Mexico School District, Town of Scriba, and the county regarding tax negotiations on the Fitzpatrick Nuclear Power Plant. This is to retain an expert to help us with the valuation of the plant in connection with those negotiations. Glenn Walker has been very involved in these facilities with his prior employer. He's formed a new company, and this will be paid in accordance with the intermunicipal agreement. You had previously seen a blank agreement. I'm bringing this back because of the costs involved, so we have knowledge of that.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 21 in favor, 0 opposed, and 4 excused.
Thank you. Resolution GC8 by Legislator Holtz.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution, urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution in opposition to the governor's budget proposal to replace the current in-rem tax delinquency foreclosure process as presented.
Yes, the governor's budget process is to replace the current in-rem tax delinquency foreclosure process, which has been in place for over 30 years. We definitely want to keep it the way it is.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 21 in favor, 0 opposed, and 4 excused.
Thank you. Resolution PS7 by Legislator Greco.
Mr. Chairman, I offer this resolution and recommend its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution awarding professional services contract, public defender.
Yeah, we had a search for public defender. We found someone. He's agreed to accept the position. This is a temporary contract to give him an opportunity to gain residency in the county so that next month we can appoint him to the position of public defender.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 21 in favor, 0 opposed, and 4 excused.
Thank you. Resolution HS9 by Legislator Reham.
Mr. Chairman, I offer the following resolution and urge its adoption.
Will the clerk please read the heading?
Resolution authorizing the commencement of litigation against Berkshire Farms and Earl Van Hoffman Sr.
As presented by Rich and our attorney, I think we should move this forward.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, this resolution authorizes the county to bring third-party litigation against Berkshire Farms, whom we understand operated the foster home in question named in the complaint, and also to sue the foster parent named in the complaint brought by CRJ versus the county of Oswego.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that's 21 in favor, 0 opposed, and 4 excused.
Thank you. That completes our resolutions for the day. Look for the appropriate motion.
Make a motion for adjournment.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Now, Legislator House.
Mr. Chairman, if there are no speakers for the day, could I take a minute?
Just 2 minutes. I'm not sure if there's anybody named Bud? He left? Yep. Floor is yours, sir.
Fellow legislators, I just want to make the point that according to our rules, miscellaneous business and unfinished business is not a time for business resolutions. So there are very specific motions that can be made. Those motions, if the minority leader wishes to make business on behalf of the legislature, he needs to take it to the appropriate committee, or he can ask for the legislature to vote to become a committee of the whole. That's the only time that we're to take up that anything that is an actual resolution to take action or business. And it's specific that this idea of sending something back to committee has to do with a conversation that is already ongoing or a piece of resolution that's already on the floor. So I think the reason I abstained is because that resolution, that motion that the minority leader made was out of order. And if we allow this to happen at every meeting, there's going to be motion after motion after motion And we're always gonna get a second as long as they have a second Democrat on the floor, and they're
Let's not make it
completely
personal.
out of order.
Let's keep it to the rules.
Yeah,
It's not
I
personal.
have a problem with that. I have a serious problem with that. You know
Meeting's
what,
adjourned.
Rich, I'd love to talk to you, could I?
Rich,
Roy, I'm
Rich,
so
you
sick
ruled on
of
this,
you.
Rich. You ruled on